As a coach, again, we talked a little bit about it up front about how you can lose the passion for what it is you do for whatever reason. For me, I believe it was just, um, if I can be honest, at first I was looking for so many different avenues on how to begin to coach. Like which which coaching style should I have? Should I use social media? How does that look and how does that work? Am I comfortable with just talking to a screen where I'm not getting any, feedback or any engagement, eye contact back? Or does that look like me coaching in a classroom setting where I'm training professionals? So just looking at all different, there's so many, and it can be very overwhelming. It could be very overwhelming when you are looking to start your business and to start your coaching journey, just trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to identify myself as a coach and what does this look like? And so looking at so many different options, instead of just looking within and saying, okay, what has God placed inside of me, and let me just roll with that. There's so many avenues and so many different, social media platforms and different other platforms that are so widely seen and expressed that as you jump in or you launch into coaching, you have to decipher which is going to be best for you. Like, do I need to look like that? Do I need to sound like that? Do I need to have that type of equipment? Do I need to go in that type of space? Do I need to serve this type of client? All of the questions that you have can sometimes be very much overwhelming, and it could help you lose sight of doing exactly what it is you want to do, which is serving people through the encouragement and the exhortation of the gift that you have. So don't stop dreaming. Even though that passion may look like it's weaned out a little bit, it's still there. Don't stop dreaming. If you stop dreaming, then the passion will wane and you will find yourself deciding, maybe this is not where I'm supposed to be. Maybe this wasn't what God said to me. I've been reading a book entitled The Circle Maker by Mark Batterson, and he notes that neuroimaging has shown that as we age, the center of cognitive gravity shifts from imaginative right brain to the logical left brain. And at some point, most of us stop living out of imagination and start living out memory. Instead of creating the future, we start repeating the past because that's what we've known, that's what we've seen, that's what we've experienced, right? So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to be thinking of something, dreaming of something, or imagining something different where we have this logic left side of brain. We might as well just go to that logic side. And instead of going after our dreams, we stop circling Jericho. So in this book, he talks about in the scripture where the Israelites circled around Jericho. God told them to circle Jericho 7 times, and on that 7th day to shout, and the walls will come tumbling down. And in that book, he talks about how he used that example of circling Jericho. Like your Jericho could be your rebranding, or your Jericho could be, I don't know, creating a coaching manual for a particular group of people. Your Jericho, whatever that thing is that you have, that you've been praying about, that you've been maybe fasting about, that you have been maybe asking God, how do I move forward in this thing? That is your Jericho. And he talks about in the book is circling your Jericho with prayer. And so when we stop imagining things, when we stop dreaming, when we stop, thinking about our goals and our aspirations and all the things that we want to accomplish in life, then hence becomes the stagnation. It becomes, I've lost passion, the fire is gone, and all of that. So don't ever stop dreaming. Keep dreaming. You want to make sure that you keep dreaming. Okay, now my whatchamacallit is not working. This is the day that the Lord has made. I I will rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, yes. So don't stop dreaming. Keep dreaming. This thing just does not want to work. Okay, well, we're going to keep it moving. Oh, let me go ahead and invite them in. Okay, the other things about creating, generate content. So when we think about creation and creating as a coach, many times our mind automatically goes to content creation, right? Because there's information that we want to get out to our population of people to ensure that they are given exactly what God has given us. And so we want to generate content. We want to think about, okay, what pleases God and what can others benefit from? So that's how we begin to content create. I was thinking back last night as I was preparing for today, just a quick run through for today, and I said, let me go back to my journals. I'm a big journaler, and so I had like 5 journals, the most recent ones that I've gone through, and just looking back, and just it's just, you should, if you're a journaler, try that sometime, because it will lift your spirits immediately, because you're able to look back and see how God has brought you through different phases and facets of life, and how things were different then and how they look now. And it's just amazing. I was looking for something in particular, but just having the opportunity just to go back, I do that every now and then. I hadn't done it in a long time, and I'm so glad that I did it last night. But I was able to look back over and review some of the content that was birthed out of me, some of the things that I was able to share with individuals at different phases of life that God had given me that would be a benefit to others. So your content needs to be able to please, of course, be pleasing to God. So what that means is just aligns with your morals and your values, and it aligns with the scripture. It aligns with the word of God. And then it also benefits others. Remember yesterday we talked about all of our primary purpose is to please God and to serve others. And then our assignments look different, but our primary purpose is to please God and to serve others, to benefit others. Another thing, commit to ongoing growth through reading, writing, and clear communication. So you can't ever stop learning as a coach, because things change so greatly and so rapidly, right? And there's information that you always want to be on the cutting edge of in terms of helping your clients. There are going to be times where you might have someone to come in, or who might seek out your expertise, and they maybe need assistance or guidance in let's just use career, because that's one of the areas that I've coached in before. So they may need some guidance in transitioning from one career type position to another industry, and what that could look like for them, so that it's a smooth transition, that they get everything out of the process that they could possibly use in order for that transition to take place. So we should always be reading, always be writing, so you're constantly seeking the Father on, what it is that He has for you to give to your population of people. And then you're always looking for ways to communicate clearly. Actually, communication is one of our 4 C's, and so we'll get to that. But I'm not sure if we'll get to that today. Yeah, we'll get to that today. And so clear communication is so vitally important, because you are going to have people who need to hear, as I stated yesterday, they need to hear what you have. They need to hear that testimony of yours to spark a fire within them to move forward, or to invest in themselves and to hire you as their coach. They need to hear from you. And so keep reading, keep writing, keep praying and asking God for clear content, for creativity, for your imagination to bloom and to grow, to get that back. Because if we stay stagnant, we are going to eventually rely on that left logical side of our brain. So that means we're going to rely on what we've done in the past. We're going to rely on our experiences from the past, and we won't allow our brain to imagine in the future. Surround yourself with supportive, encouraging people. I call this group my champions. People who are going to pour into you, people who are going to remind you when it seems like all else fails. You're going to need someone to step up and remind you of the plan that you said God has for you. What did he speak to you? What are the words that you heard him say? How do you know? You tell someone who is close to you. You tell your champions, and it's a small knit group for me. Everybody doesn't have the right into that space. But this group of champions, these are people that I can go to, who are my prayer partners, who I know is going to be praying for me when I'm in a down season or a dry season. People who I know that once I reach out to them and I give them, tell them an idea that God has placed on my mind, and I know that they will give me a good word to encourage me, right? And so you need to surround yourself as you're creating, because your group of champions are going to encourage you to create. They're going to encourage you to imagine. They're going to encourage you to dream. If you don't have people in your circle like this, then they are probably not in your group of champions. And that's okay. They might be in the outer circle, but they're not in that inner circle, right? And so you've got to know the difference between the two. Stay consistent and persistent. Every part of your journey as a coach is going to look different than mine. Our journeys are not going to look the same, and do not be discouraged by what you see other coaches doing. That may not be your journey. That may not be what God has for you, but he does have a specific journey for you. So just be consistent. When he speaks to you, you bathe that thing in prayer. Maybe you get wise counsel, and then you act on it. Sometimes we look at, in reading that book also that I referenced at the beginning, The Circle Maker, he talks about how we can sometimes hear from God and we pray, right? We pray, but we don't act on it at all. Like we are literally just waiting for him to move first. But as the story that I talked to you about at Jericho, where Joshua and the Israelites marched around the wall, they had to do that. There was action that they had to put to that prayer. That was action that they had to put to God's word, to God's promise. There was action there. So be consistent, be persistent, knowing that success requires continuous effort. Now, when I'm saying continuous effort, that is going to look like, it's going to look different in every season, right? There are going to be seasons where you are grinding. When I say grinding, you are putting forth the content. You are getting the clientele. You are sending out the emails. You are sending out the social media clips. You are doing all of the things. But then there are going to be seasons where some of that you're going to be able to scale back on, and you're going to be able to pour more into individuals one by one, or in a one-on-one setting. So your seasons are going to look different. Be willing to adapt to that new season, right? It would be really crazy. In the area that I live in Georgia, South Georgia, it has been really cold these past few days. Like we're talking below 30. And it would be really crazy for me to go outside with a tank top and some shorts on in the time of day where the temperature is lowest. That would be really crazy, right? I have not adapted to that season of change. And so you want to make sure that as your seasons are changing, that you're asking God to let me be mindful of when the season is changing so that I can adapt in whatever way you want me to adapt. Make sense? Yes. All right. So, as we are adapting to the season, as we are shifting, as God allows, as we are doing the thing that He's placed in our heart to do, like what's in your hand to do today, as we are doing that thing, bathing our process in prayer, God's promises will then come to fruition because we are activating the promises of God, basically. We are activating the promises of God. All right. Number 2. Any questions before I move to number 2? Do you have any questions? Anyone have any questions? And I am so sorry that we had so many complications today. I know that we'll do a little bit better tomorrow and get everyone in and have the ability to do and engage and do all the things. And I'll make sure that I do a little bit better next time. But do we have any questions regarding create, the number 1 of C of the coaching journey?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment.
Okay.
I think, well, no, I know that's what happened to me. What stopped my progress? I was always looking at what everybody else was doing. I was always pulling up, looking at everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
see what they were doing
Mm-hmm.
and their website. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't know. I'm not doing it yet. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. And then I had a minister to talk to me, and she just told me the same thing that you just said. Don't stop dreaming.
Yeah.
Do what God had told you to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That can be very overwhelming. I mean, when I first got my certification and first started coaching, actually, when I first started coaching, I was just completely seeking the Lord because I was like, okay, God, this is new, but it what it does, it lights the fire of the exhortation inside of me, of the spiritual gift of encouraging. It sparked the fire in that. And so I was able to dream, I was able to imagine and think of all the things that I could do to help and serve others. Once I got my certification, there was so much more to look at. There was so much more to see, right? There were so many different styles of coaching. There was so much more. And once I was able to figure out, okay, how am I going to identify within this coaching business? What is it going to look like for me? Then it became easier for me to stay passionate about the work that I wanted to do. Remember the why behind why I was doing it. That it didn't have anything to do with anyone else or what anyone else said, but only about what the gift that God had placed inside of me and what it said. So yes, don't stop dreaming. Keep dreaming. Keep imagining yourself in places that you can't possibly see yourself, and see where God takes you in that. Because even though you can't see yourself there, God has a plan for you. And He's placed this gift inside of you for that plan to be fulfilled. So just bathe your emotions and your movement and your seasons, bathe them in prayer. Whatever Jerichos that you are facing, bathe them in prayer and act. But don't just sit and wait. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep being persistent. Keep being consistent. Keep praying. Just keep seeking the Father, because you want to make sure that you're aligned with whatever His will is, right? We want to yield to His plan. We want to operate and flow in the plan that He has for us so that we can be successful. So keep dreaming, keep seeking God, keep asking God questions, and He will make them all clear to you. Okay? So that is awesome. Number 2, the second C for coaches is communicate. We've got to communicate because we have to be able to let people know what we're doing. Clearly define and communicate your role as a coach by articulating your mission, your core values, and the range of services you want to provide. And this can only come from you having time with the Lord so that it aligns with His plan for you. I don't know anybody out there who wants to walk in, well, I do. But what I'm saying is it doesn't make sense to me why we would want to walk in opposition of what the Creator has planned for our lives, knowing that whatever He's planned for us, if we walk in it, it's going to be good for us. So just being clear, being able to clearly define what that means. A good exercise that I did in one of my marketing sections of my coaching certification was how to pretty much give your 60-second business or elevator pitch. And you want to make sure in that 60 seconds that the person knows who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And if you can add your mission or your core values in that 60 seconds, absolutely do that. But they need to know who you are, who you serve, and what it is that you do. So be as clear as possible. Sometimes when we start out, we're very vague. But I tell you, I think that can be beneficial to a certain extent. At some point, if you're too vague, then that's going to create a lot of overwhelming feelings, because you're going to be like, well, I'll help this person, I'll help that person with that person this group with that, and you're going to be all over the board, right? So it's good to at the point, at the season that is best for you, is to clearly define what your population looks like, what is your mission, and what are your core values? Like, who are you wanting to serve? You know, who is your population of people? Someone that says, I'm a coach and I help everybody, that's a coach that probably helps nobody, because now this is one thing that I have learned, is that you do have to be specific in terms of your service to others, because you are gaining knowledge and wisdom as well throughout the process. So you can't be all over the board. You've got to be able to be specific in what you're learning, what you're planning to grow in, and how you're planning to help people. Does that make sense, Katrina?
Yes.
Okay. And so, I know that might seem a little difficult to do, to streamline that in terms of who I'm going to help, but it can happen if you want to. And sometimes you can do it by starting with, who is my ideal client? Like, let me draw a picture or write an outline of who my ideal client is. And that can also help you to be more streamlined, so that you can continue to gain knowledge and wisdom and education in terms of how to serve this ideal client. Utilize multiple platforms such as social media and networking events to reach a broader audience. And so when we're still talking about this, we still are being very specific, right, in terms of who your audience is. Because even if you're getting on social media and you pop up on someone's feed, they still need to know if they can benefit your services or not. Okay? I am a coach who provides parenting skills for young mothers, young working moms who feel overwhelmed. Or, you want to have a specific population of people that you feel God has called you to. And if He's called you to that population of people, He's going to give you exactly what you need to serve them. Start by informing your existing network, including friends, family, and professional contacts, about what you get to do. That's your very first forms of connections, networks, is the people that you know, friends, family. Tell them who you are, where you're going, not who you are, but what you're doing, what God has placed in your heart, how you can serve them, how you're speaking to this population of people, or because they are also, like we talked about, being fruitful and multiply. As you are spreading, communicating clearly what it is you're doing, they are going to then be a level of reach for you as well, right? They're going to be able to extend your hands beyond what you can do. So be clear in defining your goals, your efforts, your strategies, your populations of people who you're serving. Be able to articulate all of that. If it's ever asked of you to do. Actively engage in community events. Find workshops, online forums such as this. Find professional development groups. Get involved in maybe your chamber, your local chamber, or just different groups in your the cities that you live in, so that you are being introduced to individuals that you would have never been able to meet or know, if you without having that opportunity. But it also is going to give you an opportunity to, again, grow in clearly communicating who you are and what it is that you do. Leverage these platforms to build genuine relationships with new contacts. That is definitely what you want to make sure that you do, because that, again, is going to help extend your reach. There we go. I got it. That is going to help you extend your reach outside of just your normal contacts. So you're leveraging these platforms to build genuine relationships, trustworthy relationships, positioning yourself as a reliable and approachable life coach through sincere and impactful interactions. So you're out there and you're interacting with people. It's not to get anything from anyone, but it is to put yourself in opportunities and in rooms and in places where God can really move and do some things in your life. But you can't do that if you're not willing to move and get out there and get involved. Consistently contribute valuable insights and support to these communities, fostering trust and demonstrating your commitment to helping others achieve their goals. So you're out there, you're meeting people, you're learning from different professional groups, you're attending workshops, you are attending community events. People start to see you, they get to know you. What is it that you do? You're able to tell them who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And so again, that is going to extend your reach and allow you to communicate with people that you would not have ever had the opportunity to communicate with. And it's also going to give you practice, right? The more you talk about what it is you do, the more you introduce yourself and talk about the people that you serve, the easier it's going to become. Like, I can go into a room, be invited. I was invited by one of my girlfriends here in South Georgia to I think it was a community council, or it was some local government meeting. And I was like, sure, I'll go with you. And, this is the community council, where they talk about how to improve the city, different programs and different initiatives that they want to put on within the city that's going to help improve the city and the residents that live in the city. And so I can go into that place and talk to anyone in that room about what it is I do and who I serve and how this can benefit the residents of our city. So you always want to be ready, but the way that you're ready is that you're doing this with practice, right? You are providing yourself with opportunities to clearly communicate who you are, where you're going, and what it is you're doing. Okay? So, time for questions. Call to action for day 2. I want you to take the initiative to create impactful content. Impactful content that is on your heart. Also, that people may have asked you about, like have asked your advice on, have consulted in certain things about. Look at creating content that way, because in order for content that you create to be impactful, it has to be something that somebody needs, right? Or that somebody can benefit from. And so that's what you're going to need to do. You may even want to do a poll on your social media. Hey, if and ask a question. If you are a working mom and you have multiple children, what is your greatest challenge of the day? And just see what they say. And whatever they say, if you feel like that's an initiative that you can start and you have a pretty good audience that could benefit from the information that you bring, absolutely go ahead and do that. But that's one way that you can kind of canvas or poll your community, your population, anyone. You might want to just, like I said, do something broad over social media, and that's going to help to clearly identify who your population is if you haven't already done that. So there are multiple ways that you can do that, but that's just one. Go on social media, do a polling question, and see what you get back. Communicate your message clearly and confidently to inspire others. Remember, when we step into the room, we are to take dominion over what it is God has placed in our hands to take dominion over. So in order to get dominion over that thing, you've got to be confident that He's placed you to be over in dominion over that thing, right? You can't just walk in a room and shy down and cower down and get very silent because you feel like you don't belong there, or the people in there are much more educated, much more, thought-provoking than you. No, if you've been invited in the room, you've been invited for a reason. God does not do anything by happenstance or by chance. There's no coincidence for His children. And so if you've been invited to the room, there's a need for you in that room. So step in that room with confidence, knowing that what you have may not be everybody in the room that needs what God has given you, but there's somebody in that room that needs what you have. Otherwise, God wouldn't have made it so. Engage actively with your community to build trust and foster growth. Find community organizations, professional groups, workshops, events, webinars, online forums where you are going to constantly be growing, learning, and meeting people so that you can begin to practice your communication and how you're going to give your 60-second or some say 60-second elevator pitch, some say I just left it. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. Your 60-second elevator pitch describing who you are, what it is you do, and the population you serve. Continuously refine your approach. Like, you're going to, as you get out there, you're going to see many different aspects of coaching. Yes. We've already, recognized that. There are going to be many different aspects of coaching. My tongue is tied today. But throughout everything that you see, everything that you witness, everything that you identify, make sure that you are clear on who you are, what it is God has called you to do, and the population that you are to be serving. Will that shift sometime? Absolutely it will. I started out in my coaching business looking to coach professional women, women and mothers who worked in a professional field, and they just needed help on transitioning into a different career field, or they needed help with managing home, work, and family and husband and all the things. And then my environment or my population shifted to where I was not just empowering those women in ministry, professional women, mothers, not just those women, but I was also empowering women who were homeless, had absolutely no clue that was going to be a part of my make. And homeless, impoverished, underserved populations of women who are in our communities, and so had no idea that was a direction that God was taking me on until He opened up that door. And so that will shift sometime, right? But again, when that season shifts, when that season changes, be open and be ready to change with it. So you're going into a new season, prepared for whatever it is you're going to learn in that season, prepared for the client that God is sending you. You're prepared for the knowledge and information that you're going to gain as you are finding these groups of people, these professional organizations that you can tap into, and that you can basically make sure that you have all of the information that you're going to need in order to do what it is that God is calling you to do. And so that is my call to action to you today, is that you don't stop dreaming. Keep dreaming. Keep seeking. Keep imagining even things that you never thought of that you would be able to do. There's nothing too hard for God. There's nothing impossible for him. There, you can do anything as long as he's with you, right? And so whatever that is, don't let society tell you that that is not something that you can do. Don't let family, friends, no, whatever God's put in you to do, that's what it is. He's going to be looking for you to do. You know, Dr. Miles Monroe said this. I love Dr. Miles Monroe, and I quoted him in some yesterdays in our slides. But he said, the wealthiest person, and I'm sure he's not the only person who has ever said this, but the wealthiest person on this earth, the wealthiest place on this earth is the cemetery. It's because so many people took to the grave inventions, ideas, creative thoughts, abilities, skill sets. They took them to the grave, and no one was able to get what they were supposed to get from them. So he has a plan for you, and what he's placed inside of you, someone needs that. Someone is waiting for it. I can even be so bold as to say that if you do not step out there and do what it is he's called you to do, you're going to be responsible for someone not walking in their calling. I'm going to just marinate on that for a minute right there. He's given each of us specific goals, specific gifts, giftings, and strengths. He placed them in you when you were knitted in your mother's womb, uniquely and wonderfully made, not just for you. Our God is always thinking about his children, his children at large. So, Katrina, I've placed inside of you this gifting, this strength, this ability, this personality, this character, because I got a young lady over here who's going to need that in 2025. I got a sister down the road in Cleveland who's waiting to hear your message. I got somebody over in Jacksonville, Tennessee, who's waiting to hear your message. And that's really how we have to look at this journey, is like, it's not just about me. It's not. It's about God's plan for the earth and his kingdom being implemented on the earth. And how is his kingdom being brought to the earth? Through his children. Yeah. Through his kingdom-minded children. So that is something that I want to leave you with today, is that you don't want to take it, don't take those creative thoughts, those imaginative thoughts, those dreams that you've had since you were a little girl, that you've put out of your mind, really, that you thought, well, no, that's not something that I can do because whatever the reason or excuse is. Let God do what he's going to do in you based on what he's given you, based on what he's put in your heart. Don't take those dreams, those inventions, those trademarks, those logos, those businesses, those ideas. Don't take those things to the grave, because somebody's waiting for them on this side. Somebody needs them. I often say we lost my father-in-law. I guess it's been maybe 6 or 7 years now. And he made the best, when I say the best sweet potato pies, even better than my mother, honey. But I wouldn't tell her that though. But he made the best sweet potato pies. And when I tell you he was not giving that recipe up, he took that recipe right onto the grave. That can't even go in the family cookbook. Cause he took it right on. Wasn't nobody gonna know how to make these pies as good as Deacon Roberts. So that's just pies, right? But that's still a part of a dream that maybe someone in his family may have had to create a family recipe book. You just never know. And so, yeah, don't take it to the grave. Keep pushing. Keep striving to do God's work, because it's the work that he's put in you that he's gonna fulfill it until Jesus comes back. Right? That's what the word tells us. He's going to fulfill it until he gets back here. So, what is your takeaway? Your takeaway from today, or any questions that you have?
My takeaway was today was you just convicted me. I was just convicted. Like was hearing God speak clearly, and I've been praying, I've been asking God, I've been it was to the point where I couldn't sleep, I couldn't rest, I couldn't get no peace, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it, not gonna do it. But still, I'm like, I couldn't get peace, couldn't get rest from it, so I was
Mm-hmm.
convicted.
Well, if I'm here to do that, then so be it.